During my hospital stay, my girlfriend took care of me with painstaking, meticulous attention. Even the lady in the next bed started urging us to get married, asking when the wedding would be. I not only ignored her, I even waved my hand impatiently and said, "It's just for fun. Why on earth would we get married?" What Willow doesn't know is that I already discovered she'd activated a couple mode in a game with someone saved in her phone as Makoto last night when she forgot to lock her phone while getting me a glass of water. Chapter 1. The day I was discharged, the biggest snowstorm of the year hit the city. Willow looped the scarf she had knitted herself around my neck, overjoyed, saying I looked like a pig-headed fool. I frowned but kept silent. She tilted her head, slipped her arm through mine, and asked what was wrong. I stared into those star-filled eyes of hers. I just couldn't figure out how this woman could be cheating on me while still acting so gentle and virtuous. Chapter 2. Willow's WeChat moments are full of me. Because I have chronic gastritis, this pampered girl who'd never lifted a finger for housework learned to cook all sorts of stomach-soothing dishes. Every time I came home after drinking at business dinners, she would grumble, but she always brought out the porridge she'd prepared in advance. She was gentle, considerate, and understanding. She remembered what I liked to eat and handled every detail of her daily life, so I didn't have to worry about anything at home. Just focus on fighting my battles outside. Last month, when I went to the Northeast on an inspection trip with a client, she couldn't come because of school, but she still spent half an hour on the phone reminding me to stay safe. My friends teased that her eyes were all about me, calling her sister-in-law and saying she was totally love-brained. Yet this very person has, on a game screen, bound herself in a couple relationship with a man I don't know. Up to today, it's been 147 days. Chapter 3. I don't know why, but I suddenly craved spicy diced chicken hot pot, the kind of fiery food I'm supposed to avoid. Willow talked me down and made porridge for me instead. I sat at the dining table, watching her busy figure in the kitchen. Out of nowhere, I asked Willow, "We haven't played games together in ages. How about I log in tonight and carry you for a few rounds?" She froze for a split second, then smiled and poked me. "Sure, hubby. What made you want to play today?" It's true I hadn't touched games in 2 or 3 years. Ever since my career picked up, I rarely dove into gaming. Not because it wasn't fun or I lacked time, but because every time I opened the interface, I felt a raw impatience and fatigue. Those days of being immersed in games with Willow feel like a distant dream. Beautiful, but the details are blurry. Now I was even more annoyed playing because Willow was using an alt account with me. After we lost a match, I tossed my phone onto the sofa. She just gave a gentle smile and said cautiously, "Hubby, you already did great. I'm the noob. How about we do something else?" After food and drink, she curled up next to me on the sofa. Her breath brushed my ear, her slightly damp hair carrying the fresh scent of just-washed shower gel. I instinctively pushed her away. She raised her brows in surprise, but still nuzzled me and told me to sleep early. Chapter 4. The next day, I didn't wake Willow up. I just went to work first. At noon, she sent me 2 texts. The first, "You just got out of the hospital. Don't eat anything raw or cold. I ordered seafood millet porridge for you. Finish all of it, okay?" The second, "Were you in a bad mood yesterday? After work, let's go catch a movie. We haven't done that in ages." I locked my screen and felt a stab in my stomach. I got off work on time and drove to her school to pick her up. Without a word, I took her straight to the cinema. She didn't feel awkward at all. She looped her arm through mine affectionately. The movie was boring, and Willow's phone kept lighting up. Halfway through, she suddenly told me the school had an urgent matter and she had to take a call. I nodded and said fine, I'd head home after the movie. But she probably didn't expect me to follow her, walking out of the theater right behind her. Luckily, she was on foot. If she'd taken a cab, I might not have caught up. The destination was close, a hospital next door. Willow's figure stands out. She's easy to spot in a crowd. So when a man rushed out of a department and swept her into his arms, I saw it clearly. Willow let him hold her. She turned her head aside, neither responding nor pulling away. Chapter 5. I got home later than Willow. She was sitting at the dining table, head tilted, watching me. I had no intention of explaining anything. As I walked past, she grabbed my sleeve. She asked, "Hubby, what's up with you these days? You seem so stressed. Did something go wrong at work?" She stood on tiptoe, arms around my neck, about to kiss me. But the image of that man holding her flashed in my mind. I jolted and shoved her away. I said, "Go take a shower." My tone reeked of disgust, yet she didn't really suspect anything. On her way out, she even tossed me a flirty wink. Willow, she's pretty lax about guarding herself from me. Look, her phone wasn't locked again. This time I went through her WeChat. Yesterday, she'd used a WeChat account to game with me, but that was clearly her alt. After fiddling around, I realized she'd hidden another WeChat app on a different screen. Logged into it was another account. The account was pretty empty, just a few people, including her bestie. Pinned at the top was a chat with someone named Makoto. Right as I looked, Makoto happened to send a message. "Willow, I'm sincere. I want to be with you, through autumn and winter, regardless of heat or cold. Not just saying I love you through a phone. Willow, when will you lay it all on the table with your boyfriend?" Goosebumps crawled over me. I frowned and scrolled up. The two of them had talked a lot. So much that it felt like they talked more in a single day than Willow and I did in a month. A month ago, when I took a client to the Northeast, Willow couldn't come because of school and spent half an hour on the phone reminding me to stay safe. That day was Makoto's birthday. The two of them went to the cat cafe we'd been to see the big orange tabby. Someone even took a photo of them. Willow was smiling sweetly, cradling the kitten while that man's gaze rested on her with tender, lingering affection. My hands and feet went cold. I saw that Willow had sent him plenty of messages too. She told him about her school frustrations, how lonely and exhausted she felt at home. She played games with him, sent him cutesy voice notes full of whining and charm. Her urge to share was so strong that even a new potted plant in the office had to be photographed and shown to him. The tutoring students she told me about were almost always dates with that guy. As I read, I slowly clutched my stomach and crouched down. I just had surgery for gastritis, and now it felt like it was flaring up again. Worse yet, I was so absorbed that I didn't even notice the water had stopped. The bathroom door opened behind me. Willow's anxious voice sounded. "What's wrong, hubby? Is your stomach hurting again? Do you need to go to the hospital?" She crouched and helped me up, the scent of shower gel flooding my nose. Oddly, it eased the pain for a second. I lowered my head, staring at her phone, which by sheer luck had fallen face down on the table at the critical moment. The last message I caught was Willow saying to that man, "Makoto, brother, I actually stopped liking him a long time ago. The one I like is you." Chapter 6. My parents have loved stuffing me with all kinds of food since I was little. So I developed a habit. When I'm under pressure, I binge eat. Especially during that oppressive time in high school, my weight skyrocketed by more than 30 pounds. Because I was heavy and a bit withdrawn, I became a target for my classmates' ridicule. Honestly, I could understand it. Under the kind of oppressive atmosphere, everyone needs somewhere to dump their negative emotions. So when they openly tossed my school bag around like a basketball, I took the opportunity to snap and vent some pressure of my own, enough that they had to take a 3-month leave from school. After that, no one dared come near me except Willow. I met her when we both gave speeches as freshman representatives in our first year of high school. She was the girls' rep, I was the boys. But compared to my single moment of spotlight, she was blazing like the sun. Great grades, beautiful, lots of friends. Boys who like her were as numerous as fish crossing a river. And yet, by coincidence, we ended up in the same cram class, and our similar scores were always compared by the teachers. Gradually, we got familiar. I know how the girls in our class talk about me behind my back. They often tease each other, saying, "Look, your husband," and then burst into giggles. But Willow never engaged with her jokes. When did I fall for Willow? Probably that evening in cram class when she hugged her books and sat beside me, summer heat hanging in the air. Her brows arched and her smile was dazzling. She said, "I just checked the scores. You beat me by 1 point again. Top student, you're amazing. Lend me that brain of yours, will you?" Willow didn't know I peeked at her volunteer preference sheet when we applied to universities, how long I crunched the numbers afterward, or how many wishes I secretly made. In the end, we got into the same university. At the graduation party, A male classmate confessed to her. His family was loaded, a textbook, rich, second-generation heir. I sat quietly in the crowd, listening to everyone egg them on. Back then, I really thought Willow would choose him. But she didn't. She turned him down gently. As the party wound down, I sat alone at the back of the private room. Having lived alone for so long, I wasn't fond of talking to people, habitually keeping my distance from everyone. But she could always find me. That night, Willow sat beside me, propping her chin on one hand, eyes half squinted. I knew she was looking at me, but I didn't have the courage to meet her gaze. After a long while, her light, soft voice sounded at my side. She said, "I like you. Do you want to give us a try?" Chapter 7. After we got together, I asked Willow why she'd fall for someone as ordinary as me. She just laughed beside me, wagged her finger, and said, "Not a chance. You'll always shine brilliantly in my eyes." But Willow is a very peculiar girl. Her sense of morality is paper thin, and her head is full of offbeat ideas. So the fact that she'd cheat on me didn't even surprise me. After we started dating, I lost weight, worked out, and trained my social skills in university clubs. I even began to realize I was actually pretty popular. During freshman orientation, a junior even confessed to me. I turned her down. I'd always believed loyalty was the first rule of a relationship. Clearly, Willow didn't see it that way. I got up in the middle of the night and ate the last steak in the fridge, clutching the metal fork tight. Sure enough, I can't shake my binge-eating habit, but I haven't put on weight in a long time. The number on the scale has even started to drop. I didn't care. I chalked it up as a perk of the surgery. The messages I'd read that night were still vivid in my mind. I let out a cold snort. Willow didn't come home tonight. I called her phone. She picked up almost instantly. I asked, "Where are you?" On her end, the wind was howling. She said, "Just got off work, heading home now. Miss me?" Her voice was a little hoarse. If I hadn't already checked with her coworkers that there was no makeup class today, I might have believed her. So, she just wanted to see that Makoto again. Huh? I said evenly, "Willow, I'll come to you." Maybe it was my tone. She fell silent for a second. Then she spoke again with a hint of a laugh. She gave me the location and at the end reminded me, "It's cold outside. Dress warm and be careful." Chapter 8. The school where Willow teaches isn't far from our place. You can walk there. The streets are almost empty at night, and only near the school do you see a bit of everyday bustle. Willow was waiting for me at the entrance to that night market. She wore an off-white trench coat, makeup flawless, features strikingly cool. She's always stood out. Thinking back, she was never the settled-down, quietly type. I rehearsed what I wanted to say in my head a few times and walked toward her, but she suddenly dove into my arms and nuzzled me. She pouted and said, "Hubby, look at your frown. How bad is it? Seeing me doesn't make you happy." I thought, "Willow, do you actually know why I'm unhappy?" Dappled lights flickered across her brows and eyes. Hazy smoke curled and intertwined. Everything in my head was instantly scrambled. Is life just a film spliced together scene after scene, with no one knowing when or how the accident will happen? When sparks flew, Willow called my name. That day, I remember clearly, I went to her to break up. She lied about tutoring just to sneak off on a tryst with that guy named Makoto. Willow said she'd stopped liking me long ago. When that runaway cargo truck barreled toward us, the one who instinctively shoved me out of the way was her. That spreading pool of blood stabbed my eyes like needles. I practically went mad crawling over to check her injuries, but she blinked at me and said, "As long as you're okay." What I really wanted to say was, "Willow, tell me, is staying with one person from start to finish really so damn hard?" Chapter 9. Willow's injuries were far more serious than I'd imagined. With that much blood, how could she possibly have opened her eyes the next morning completely unscathed? She was taken to the ICU and slept for 2 or 3 days straight. During that time, I finally managed to unlock her phone. Fingerprint unlock really is a wonderful invention. I couldn't stop myself from reading their chat over and over, every single line between her and that guy. All the teasing, all the flirting. In the dead of night, it felt like a knife carving into my heart. While Willow lay unconscious, that guy bombarded her with countless messages. A flower shop just opened downstairs. "See anything you like, Ms. Liu?" Don't forget to give me that extra lesson this afternoon. Hey, hey, why aren't you answering me? You there, Willow? What happened? I went to your school, but couldn't find you. Did something happen to you? At night, I lay on the attendant's cot in the hospital, scrolling through that chat again and again. He was still sending messages one after another to this very phone. Halfway through, I dashed to the restroom and threw up. Fuck you, Willow. The young nurse who did rounds every day said I looked terrible and suggested I get a full physical while I was here. When I came back with the report in hand, I saw a tall, skinny man standing outside Willow's room. Sometimes you can just feel misfortune coming. Without thinking, I called out his gamer tag. He turned, stunned for a second. There aren't many places near the hospital where you can talk, but we found a ramen shop. It was 3 or 4 in the afternoon, no customers around. He propped his forehead on one hand, listlessly stirring the noodles. What's your name? I asked. Makoto. So what he shot back, already on edge. You're the one who plays games with Willow all the time, right? Yeah. So what? You know Willow is my girlfriend, don't you? He shrugged. Didn't know. So what? The next second, I stood up and slapped him across the face, spelling out each word. So what? This daddy just smacked you. To teach you a lesson. Still pretending, he said, You think I haven't seen your chat logs? I lost weight lately, but I still outweighed this beanpole. He wilted at once, eyes darting. Feelings are complicated, bro, calm down. I believe if you love someone, you shouldn't hold her back from someone better than you. Besides, it's not like you two are married. A scumbag and a slut. You two really are perfect for each other, I sneered. He came right back with, Then bro, why not just hand her over to me? I can accept her personality. My anger fizzled. I almost laughed at the nerve of him. In that instant, my stomach felt like it was on fire. I clenched my fists, and he scooted farther away. The results of my physical flashed through my mind. After a moment's thought, I stood, bowed my head, and said calmly, Fine. When Willow wakes up, tell her yourself. She's yours. Chapter 10. Makoto probably never expected me to give in so easily. By coincidence, just as we got back, the doctor told me Willow had woken up. Makoto all but sprinted over, and Willow, sharp as ever, must have understood everything the moment she saw the two of us together. With Makoto standing between us, she and I locked eyes in silence. She's always looked at people with a trace of adoration. Even now, it felt as though I were still the only one in her sight. A thin beam of light slipped through a crack in the floorboards. I drew a quiet breath and finally said what I hadn't managed that day. Willow, let's break up. A very, very long silence followed. She showed no surprise at all. Instead, she smiled faintly and said, It really is important to wipe your phone before something goes wrong. That's Willow for you. Back in high school, I'd have lost it on the spot. I'd have slapped Willow's face until it swelled, broken Makoto's legs, and demanded to know why. But now, once the words were out, I simply turned around in silence. Behind me, she asked calmly, Since we've broken up, can we still be friends? I shook my head and pushed open the ward door. Willow didn't know. There is no later for me. Chapter 11. It was Willow's 4th day in the hospital. 6 hours before she would wake up and 20 minutes before she would meet Makoto when I got my own test results. I had chalked the constant stomach aches up to post-surgery after effects. The nurse who kept saying I looked pale had caught me vomiting violently in the restroom at midnight. Early-stage tumors have no symptoms. Only in the middle or late stages does the pain become obvious. I never imagined a growth had taken root in the mucosa just below my stomach. In a half-lit consulting room, my hands and feet suddenly went numb. Wait, doctor, are you sure? I read on Google that. He frowned, then cut me off. Did you come alone? I'm not trying to scare you. I'll be blunt. We found this too late. If you don't treat it seriously now, you may have only a few months. Get admitted right away, call your family, and decide quickly, surgery or conservative care. I must have stood there forever because he finally sighed, patted my shoulder, and added, Don't panic. Our hospital specializes in this, and we've had plenty of success stories. I spent the whole morning sitting on a bench in the corridor. Why hadn't the last operation caught this? Why now of all times? Why me? Haven't I had enough trouble? Does heaven want to strip me even of the right to live? The doctor had asked if I had family. My mom passed away a year after I graduated college. My relatives tore each other apart over Granddad's estate. All the years since graduating, I'd been with Willow. Willow was right. People's passion burns out. That's why she stopped loving me. Maybe we'd been together so long we forgot what love even is. People hurried back and forth down the hallway. For me, even existing here felt like a luxury. I hadn't thought of my mom in ages, yet now her face seemed right before me. Take me with you. Please take me with you. Suddenly, I broke down, bawling in the corridor. A middle-aged lady couldn't bear it and handed me a tissue. She laid a gentle hand on my shoulder. "It's all right, young man. Don't cry," she whispered. "My boy is 11. We fought, and he swallowed thumbtacks to kill himself. I regret it now, so many things. At the very least, I shouldn't have acted on impulse. You see, everyone suffers. That's why you have to cherish the people in front of you." She probably thought I was a patient's relative. I clenched the report in my hand. Who do I even have left? I suddenly remembered a day when Willow and I argued about who would die first. She said she wanted to go before me. She couldn't bear life alone. I joked that with my workload, I'd probably drop first. She burst into tears and said, "I'm yours until you die. I'll stay by your side forever." I drifted down the hospital stairs toward her room. How absurd. Even now, even after she cheated, my reflex was still to see if she had woken up to ask which treatment plan I should choose. But that day, standing at the stairwell landing, staring at the man outside her room, I understood with painful clarity that Willow was no longer mine. Chapter 12. When the last leaf of autumn fell, Willow broke up with Makoto. It felt like nothing to her, yet Makoto was on the verge of a breakdown. Lowering her gaze, Willow blocked the person who kept bombarding her with messages. A car horn blared beside the street, and she looked up at the now bustling night market. She suddenly remembered how, 2 years earlier, she had shoved George aside and saved him from a car accident. Come to think of it, it had also been 2 years since he walked out of her life. Willow had never doubted that she loved George. In fact, her feelings had never burned so intensely as when she loved him. Even after the breakup, the turmoil refused to settle. There was a time she outright hated him. Yet it was still George who haunted her thoughts. So she ended things with Makoto. She knew winning George back would be painfully hard, but she wanted to try. Had he been well these past years? Was his stomach still acting up? Did he still skip breakfast and stay out drinking late into the night? In every lonely night, she caught herself thinking of him. Even when she looked at Makoto, her mind was full of George. Willow had always followed her impulses. If she still loved George, she had to reach out. Her first idea was to add his WeChat using his phone number, but the request was never accepted. His profile picture and name were different too. Back when they broke up, George had blocked her everywhere. He'd left decisively. She remembered clearly. That day she asked if they could still be friends. George shook his head. So winning him back might be difficult, but she believed she might not fail. After all, she knew her own strengths and George's weaknesses. Honestly, men can't stand to see a pretty woman cry. They're easy to handle. Act a little cutesy and pitiful, and he'd ache for a smile at him, and he'd be utterly smitten. Since WeChat brought no reply, she tried other ways to find him. Apparently, George had moved away, and, oddly enough, none of her best girlfriends had heard from him either. She finally managed to add one of George's old friends on WeChat. That person cursed her out and blocked her again. Spend the rest of your life drowning in regret, you filthy bitch. Willow rolled her eyes. She didn't believe it. As long as she could see George again, everything could still be saved. She knew him too well, his tastes, his preferences, exactly how to charm him until he lost his mind. So much was etched into her bones. That's why she never stopped thinking of him. Willow refused to believe George had forgotten her completely. It happened at a Saturday high school reunion. During idle chatter, old stories surfaced. Willow couldn't hold her liquor. After 2 drinks, she propped her head on her hand, bored listening to gossip. But when she heard George's name, she suddenly looked up. "Hey, remember that old classmate?" Someone sighed. "Such a pity. He died so young." "Yeah," another agreed. I went to his funeral earlier this year. Stomach cancer, I think. So tragic. His parents were gone too when he passed. He was all alone. So young. Stomach cancer. Funeral. Those words felt alien, as though she'd never heard them in her life. She sprang to her feet, and every gaze converged on her. Her head buzzed. Maybe it was the alcohol, maybe she'd misheard, maybe it was just someone with the same name. George was no longer in this world. How could that be? Had George died a year ago? Would she never see him again? Never find him? Death, what did it mean? Did it mean they would never meet again in this lifetime? She tore through the world like someone possessed, hunting for anything that could prove George was still alive. She wanted evidence that people were lying to her, that everything was fake, just a cruel joke they'd all conspired to play. But there was none. All she found was an address and a headstone. The wind hissed in the lonely hills, mountains high, rivers far. The departed were already gone when she finally turned back to chase after them. Even a single "I'm sorry" was too late. Memories flooded her like a tidal wave. The smallest stray emotion now swelled into something vast and crushing. She knelt before his grave from sunrise until sunset. Yet ashes scattered to nothing. She could never win forgiveness. There was no one left to hear her. She hadn't merely lost him. She too had been cast aside. So she locked herself in her apartment and poured herself drink after drink. Only when the alcohol dulled her brain could she see him. The man crouching in front of her, ruffling her hair. "You're such a strange one," he said. "You were the first to fall out of love. So why are you crying like this now?" After that, Willow spiraled. It seemed only when she let those shady men toy with her did she taste a fleeting hint of absolution. They dragged her out drinking every night, and her tolerance was abysmal. One day, she threw up again, staggered into the restroom, and stared at the woman in the mirror. She looked for a long, long time, then lifted the bottle and smashed the glass. The reflection fractured into thousands of shards. Shaking, she whispered, "Why? Why, Willow? Why can't you just stay loyal to one person? Why did you have to leave George? Why did you believe no matter what you did, he would always turn around and forgive you?" Only later did she realize she had never stopped loving him. Some loves sink into the marrow. Abandoning him had been effortless. Losing him now hurt so much she could scarcely breathe. Suddenly, she snatched a shard from the floor. Facing the shattered mirror, she carved a large X across her own lips. Blood streamed down her cheeks at once. Even the men who had brought her there were startled. Cursing, they rushed her to the hospital. Chapter 13. Later, she pushed the limits even further. Even with a mask covering her mouth, her face still oozed allure. One man pinched her disfigured lips and said, "I like you in this broken state." Alcohol and debauchery soon became the main motif of her life. There were things she tried desperately to forget. When she couldn't, she drowned them in whatever she was doing. Rumor had it in their circle that as long as a man looked like George, she'd hop on a plane to any corner of the country. The frenzy of longing was numb that way, until one day it surged back like a burst dam. Everyone seemed to have George's face, yet none of them were him. The moment she saw one of those familiar-looking faces, a wave of nausea hit her. She rushed into the restroom and vomited until the world spun black. Chapter 14. When Makoto found Willow, she had locked herself at home drinking. The woman opened the door, reeking of alcohol. Her eyes swept Makoto from the ground up. Then she rolled her eyes and tried to close the door, only for Makoto to block it with his hand. Arms folded, he asked, "If I hadn't come, how much longer were you planning to keep sinking like this?" Even in depravity, a woman like her radiated a warning. Strangers keep out. Willow relaxed her brows and let out a mocking laugh. "Are you done yet?" Grinding his teeth, Makoto shot back. "Done? Willow, you were with me for 2 years. How long were you with him? And you'd ruin yourself like this for a dead guy? What does he have that I don't that you're so hopelessly hung up on him?" The woman stared at him in silence. After a while, her voice dripped with impatience. She lifted her hand. "Come in." One glance told Makoto that Willow now lived in the very apartment she had once shared with that George. Nothing had changed in the decor. Only the table was littered with overturned glasses. Makoto, do you know why I added you that day in the game? Willow's voice was low, like a ghost from nowhere. George probably doesn't even remember, she said. When we first played that game together, the very first username he registered was Makoto. That day I'd fought with him, so calling you Makoto felt exactly like calling him. By then, I didn't love him as much. To me, you were a brand new version of him, which was why I found you more interesting. Hearing her dissect her feelings for George, fury erupted in Makoto. In the next second, his palm cracked across Willow's face. You filthy bitch, he snarled. Makoto suddenly remembered the first time he met that man. He had said Willow was his. Now Makoto had to ask himself, had he been that man's stand-in for 3 years? The answer was obvious. He had thought he'd won, but in the end, who was laughing? A dead man. Seeing Makoto lose control, Willow pretended to pull out her phone to call the police. Panicked, he bolted out the door. His curses still echoed, but the door shut them outside. Willow stared into her own eyes in the mirror. Today was an important day. She didn't want anyone to disturb her. Chapter 15, Christmas Eve. The streets were already filled with a festive, joyful atmosphere. This was probably the first time Willow had stepped out of her home in half a month. She had showered, put on delicate makeup, and dressed properly before heading out. December 24th, this was the day they had officially gotten together. The city lights glowed in the night, and in this sleepless metropolis, it seemed like everyone was paired up. She walked down the street, but was suddenly bumped into by someone. The person said, "Miss, you're so beautiful. Didn't your boyfriend give you flowers? Here, take this bouquet." A little boy shoved a large bouquet into her arms. Willow held the flowers, suddenly a bit at a loss. If only they were from George. If only he were still here. Then an overwhelming sense of guilt swept over her heart. The next moment, a female voice broke through her thoughts. "Hi, excuse me, could I buy those flowers from you?" It was a girl with a sweet smile and a bun hairstyle, someone who easily made a good impression. She said, "My boyfriend is being a total jerk. Didn't even get me flowers today. I want to buy some and pretend someone else gave them to me just to mess with him. But you know how it is. There's no place open for flowers tonight." Willow thought of a couple having a little fight. Huh. She stood dazed and handed over the bouquet, not intending to take money. But the girl had already stuffed a red bill into her hands. After thanking her, the girl walked off while Willow stood still. George had once made her angry too. She thought he had forgotten this important day and sulked, but when she opened the fridge, it was packed full of roses. In that moment, Willow felt like she loved George so much. Loved him so much she was willing to give her life for him. Willow felt like she was going insane from the memories. What if she hadn't done those things? What if she hadn't betrayed him? If she had stayed by his side, could they have spent their last Christmas together? Willow thought maybe she was becoming addicted to alcohol. She found another nightclub, drank and drank. No matter how much she drank, her tolerance never improved. She just ended up throwing up. But when she drank too much, it felt like she could see him. Like now, a man who looked so much like him walked right past her. She burst out of the crowd, frantically chasing after him. But out on the street, among the sea of people, there was no trace of the man she was looking for. Another hallucination. But this time, she seemed to have messed with the wrong people. "Hey, you fucking blind or what?" A burly man yanked her by the arm, and a group of people dragged her into an alley. The outside world was too loud and cheerful. No one heard the violence hidden within. The man sneered, "You got money? Hand it over, sugar mama." He rummaged through her bag, but only found a ring. And it was only when she saw the ring that Willow's eyes snapped open. She tried to grab it back, but the man dangled it above her like a cruel joke. That ring was a gift from George. The only thing she had left that was connected to him. She couldn't get the ring back. She struggled, but several people surrounded her, kicking and punching. Drunk and out of control, she lashed out in a fit of madness. In the end, Willow curled up on the ground, finally locating the ring, only for them to realize it was made of cheap metal and had no resale value. They tossed it aside like trash. She clutched the ring to her chest, like It was the most precious thing in the world. Someone muttered, "Shit, she's not dead, is she?" Another said, "Forget it. Let's get the hell out of here." She didn't know how much time passed. Eventually, the group ran off into the distance. Willow felt like every organ inside her was in pain. She genuinely thought she was dying. But she laughed. Winter really was kind of cold. If she just lay there like this, would she ever wake up again? No one cared what happened in a quiet alleyway. The parade floats rolled by, echoing with laughter and music. Willow didn't know. If she had opened her eyes and looked toward the next street over, there a man was gently coaxing a girl holding a bouquet of flowers. The girl said, "All right, I'll stop teasing you. Guess where I got these flowers?" The man replied, "Who gave them to you?" She said, "Willow. I think she used to be your ex." George scratched his head and said, "Oh, she came too." The girl fiddled with the petals in her arms and nodded. "She still seems to love you, but she probably thinks you're dead. She doesn't look like she's doing well." The man shrugged indifferently. "It all started with my friend wanting to mess with her. Then the whole group got involved and started playing along. I live abroad now. In the end, those idiots decided to put up a fake gravestone for me just to prove I was dead. What a joke. But hey, I've got a tough life. Even if she dies, I won't. The doctor said it was a miracle I survived. I was more afraid they'd curse me into the grave. Whatever. However Willow feels has nothing to do with me anymore. People have to move on. Honestly, after making it through all that illness, she just doesn't matter to me at all anymore." He yawned and threw an arm around the girl's shoulder. "Come on, baby, stop fussing. Let's get in the car. I've got a little surprise for you." The clock struck midnight. Snow began to fall softly from the night sky. The stars glittered, neon lights sparkled, and the crisp jingle of bells ushered in another year.